guys. So we just did a video doing our top 10 movies of the year. Now, get to the stinkers. The things that we just did not enjoy. And for one reason or another. This could be disappointing. It could be bad. It could be both. Just viewing experiences that were not positive for one reason or another.
Yeah, a lot of these movies that I have on my list, I was going in with high hopes of thinking, oh, this is going to be good. And you just walk out like, what in the world was that? Most of these movies are disappointing, but some of them are bad as well. So. Yeah.
No, so we're not. And this is the thing. There are a lot of movies that will be on or off our list that were just awful. But we just didn't see them. I'm sorry. Movies are not cheap. We're not paid critics or anything like that. We have to pay the movie. So we know a movie's just going to be an absolute dumpster fire. We're probably not going to check it out. It's so this is more of a disappointment thing because there's not going to be a lot of movies that you can see far and away a gem in the holograms. We're not going to waste I'm not going to waste my money seeing something like that.
We all know that was a piece
I already know that's going to be bad. It's not going to be on my list because I didn't see it. So these are movies that we saw that just did not live up to our expectations, our hopes, or they were just bad and were disguised as a better movie. So
number 10 for me came out in the beginning of 2015 was Black Hat, starring Chris Hemsworth.
I didn't see that.
Director Michael Mann, he's made some good films over the last, 10, 15 years. They're enjoyable. Yeah. So I had high hopes. Chris Hemsworth coming off of Thor, Rush.
Yeah.
So I was really looking forward to this movie, and, I'm watching this movie, and I'm like, what am I watching? What is this?
That's what I heard.
It was very disappointing with Chris Hemsworth being in that role. I mean, he did decent for what it was worth, what he was brought to, but overall, just a big disappointment for me. Number 9. So this is the third movie in a series, which the first one was really great. I enjoyed it. The second one was, but this one was just completely a waste of time, and that is Taken 3.
Oh gosh, you paid for that?
I did. I loved the first one with Liam
the first
Neeson.
one,
the first one was great. The second one was like, okay, you guys are kind of losing it, but it was still enjoyable. But this one was just, it was a waste of time. I just didn't like it at all.
I did not want to go see that. I did not want Bank of America to know that I spent money on that, so I avoided that like a wildfire. But it's just wasn't. Nah.
It was bad.
I believe it. Liam Neeson just keep bunching things. Just do them in a different setting. I don't have to keep going after Albanians every time. It's all right. There's other people you can hit out there. All right. What was number 8 for you?
Oh boy, this one. This directed by the Matrix brothers.
The Wachowskis. No. Sorry. Not brothers, siblings. We gotta
siblings.
Be PC. Siblings, the Wachowski siblings.
But number 8 for me is Jupiter Ascending with Channing Tatum and Mila Kunis.
Yeah. And Eddie Redmayne. I didn't see it. I just know the voice.
His voice. Oh my god, I couldn't stand his damn voice. And
why don't you like my voice, Chris?
Exactly. That's how he sounded like, and it was just, oh my god, the visuals were decent. I had some issues with it, but overall, that story was crap. His voice was crap. Channing Tatum had like elf ears. I don't know what that was about. Mila Kunis, it was bland. She was bland in that movie. I didn't really like her acting in it.
10 for me. It's actually Jurassic World. Now, okay. Now, hold on.
Oh, man.
Now, okay, my problem, now this is disappointing. Now, I had a lot of fun with this movie. Yes, there's a lot of fun. Chris Pratt and training raptors and, pose, and that made all sorts of funny zookeeper memes. Look, it was a fun movie. It was also one of the stupidest storylines I've ever heard in my life. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, I think we spoiled in the other review, but a major plot line of this movie is Vincent D'Onofrio's character wants to militarize raptors to use in the army to hunt terrorists in the Middle East. That's not a joke. That's a running story point. No, that's the problem of the movie. Some of the writing was just pretty bad. It was still a lot of fun. I saw it twice. For worst movies I saw this year, I was just disappointed because I was expecting more. I mean, still had a lot of fun. Dinosaurs. The music. I know. Number 9 for me, again, this is talking disappointing, was Crimson Peak. I really enjoyed Guillermo del Toro. I love some of the other side work he's done, whether it's producing or directing. I love Pan's Labyrinth. I enjoy even The Orphanage, El Orfanato, which he produced. He didn't direct, but I love the dark gothic style that he goes with in some of his movies, and the weird creatures, all the stuff we see. So I had a lot of hope for Crimson Peak. This movie had been in production for a long time. Del Toro, this is a big passion project for him. It was fine. It's a very odd movie, and it's not bad. I gave it a positive review on my write-up. I still enjoyed it. Yeah, Hiddleston's great. Jessica Chastain's really good. Mia Wasikowska, I believe, or you pronounce her name. It's a well-directed movie. It's just every act is so much different and not necessarily in a good way. It's just a very uneven movie. It was still enjoyable. It wasn't bad, but I had really high hopes for this, considering the build-up over the years, and it just let me down. Number 8, Goodnight Mommy. Now, this is a very small... I'm sorry. This is a very small movie, and to be picking on. You didn't see it, did you?
I didn't see it. The trailer made me laugh.
Wait, you know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
The horror movie.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure. Or an indie film, actually, as well. So very small on the radar. But if you looked at some of the clickbait links on this online, it was saying, this is the scariest movie of all time. Horrifying. I don't get scared of movies, but I was ready to see some messed up stuff. And, I mean, it's, I don't know. I mean, I don't understand what everyone was talking about. It is more of a psychological horror movie than it is an actual horror movie. Mismarketing for one. It is well acted, but there's nothing to it. I'm sorry that it's so transparent as well. I knew what was going to happen about 5 minutes into the movie, literally. And I'm not a good prognosticator for movies. I can't predict things very well. So to be hung up on a twist like that, because it's a twist, like a lot of horror movies, and then for it to be so obvious so early on, and then there's not that much else going on. Mm-hmm. It's this. You could say it's a performance piece, and the boys in it, the 2 twin boys, are great, but they're good. They're not great. It's just, I don't.
Number 7 for me stars Vin Diesel in The Last Witch Hunter. For some reason, I had, you know what, Vin Diesel, all right, let's see what you got, But, oh my God, it's just, it's not a bad movie, it's just disappointing. Yeah. It was just, the acting was okay, the visuals were decent, but just the story itself, I didn't care for. Yeah. It was, that's all I have to say about that.
It should be dumb fun.
Yeah, but no, it wasn't. It was just dumb.
Just dumb.
No fun, just dumb. Oh boy, this one, number 6, is Terminator.
Oh.
Genesis, Jenny something, whatever it's called.
Genesis.
Yeah, there you go. I'm a huge fan of the Terminator franchise. Number 2 is my favorite one of all time. Number 3, Number 4, Salvation. I figured, okay, I see what they're going. They're trying to kind of refresh the franchise, kind of taking a new direction, but kind of nods to the old trilogy or their old ones. And Arnold was funny in it, but it's Jai Courtney. Come on, Neil Clark. She I like her in Game of Thrones, but it just didn't fit her, and this movie was just very disappointing. Number 5 wasn't a bad movie, but it just was a disappointment for me, and that's Tomorrowland with George Clooney. Watching this movie, or these trailers, I was like, okay, this in the future it looks like, and I was like, okay. And when it comes down to maybe the third act, it lost me, and I was like, what is happening? Like, I don't get this. Like, why are you guys taking it in this direction? The build-up was great. Yeah. The visuals were great. Yeah. The humor with George Clooney and the little girl, I can't think of her name right off the top of my head, but they were great. But the delivery was just a big disappointment for me. It was confusing at times, too, towards the end when they were getting towards the plot of it. It was like,
Yeah, I think I have some things to say about that later on. All right, so jumping back to number 7. Comedy sequels tend to suck, and unfortunately, this didn't suck, but Ted 2. I had a lot of fun with Ted. I'm a huge McFarlane fan. Yep. I love Family Guy. I love politically incorrect humor. Ted was a huge surprise. I didn't think that was going to be as funny as it was. And Ted 2 is funny. It is, actually. I enjoyed Ted 2 for what it was. It's just, if you were to pick every key plot point and every part of the story structure from the first and just update it a couple of years, it's the same movie.
Yeah.
I almost feel a little insulted when you repeat a movie to that extent with almost the same plot beats and the same points. And I honestly was kind of bored at the end. The jokes were still kind of funny, but there were some of the physical gags, the physical humor that just didn't work for me. Number 5. Okay, I did not have hopes for this movie. I just didn't like it. I didn't like the first one, and I didn't like the second. Unfortunately, we were going to get a third and probably a fourth because they split every book into 2 now. Divergent, the Insurgent movie. Now, I saw the first one because my wife made me. And like pretty much every other guy, I'm assuming, that didn't read the books. Yeah. And it wasn't bad. It was okay. I mean, it's basically a worse version of the Hunger Games. But the second one, you figure, well, okay, maybe they'll notice what the flaws they had. The book's the book. You're not going to change it completely, but maybe it'll get a little better. Maybe the second book was a little better. The writer learned a little bit. No, it got worse. I mean, it's a CGI mess. Some of the visuals look okay at points, but it's just the special effects aren't as great as they could be. I'm sorry to Shailene Woodley. She's not a bad actress. I've seen her be fine in other things, but don't like her in this. I don't think she does that great of a job. She puts on cry face most of the time. The guys in the movie are just worthless. I mean, they're not that they're doing a bad job acting. It's just they're worthless in the story. It's just.
Are you telling me you didn't like Jai Courtney in that movie?
He wasn't the worst part of the movie.
No, he wasn't.
I mean, he wasn't. It's just not a good movie. It's not atrocious. There's worse movies out there, but I didn't see a lot of those. I got stuck seeing this. If you're a fan of it and you like the books, you like the movies, that's great. But yeah, you saw it too.
I saw it too. I'll go in more detail later.
Maybe. Ooh.
Maybe.
There's a teaser. Repeating your rest Tomorrowland. This was so anticipated. I had such high hopes for this. Brad Bird directed Incredibles. He did Mission Impossible: Ghost Protocol. That was the last movie he did before this. People thought he was going to do a Star Wars movie. He turned down.
Yeah, I remember that.
He turned down doing Episode 7. They actually approached him about this. They approached Abrams first, then Bird, and Bird said no, then they went back to Abrams along with other people. But he turned down Star Wars to do this. He said, it's not a bad movie. It's not. It feels like a really, really good Disney Channel movie. And I don't mean that in necessarily a bad way. It just, when you look at this afterwards, and you just think, they spent way too much money on this.
Yeah, they did.
The visuals are great at points. It's well acted, it's funny, it's cute at points, it's fun. It's just, considering all this hype, considering what Brad Bird passed up, and what he was building upon it.
Okay. Yeah, number 4 for me is Spectre. Yeah. There was a lot of rumors going on of who Christoph Waltz was going to play, and I already knew who he was going to be from just the trailer alone. They kind of gave it away. If you've watched
if you've seen any of the old Bonds, you already know who it is. If you know what Spectre is in any of the old Bonds, you already knew. This wasn't even a question.
Yeah, so it was just, Christoph Waltz's character was kind of just a disappointment. Action was good. The opening scene in, I think it was Mexico City, that was really fun.
That tracking shot,
The helicopter and all the helicopter fight scene, that was awesome. There was just something there that I just was like, okay, well, I'm kind of left, that was it. I wanted more out of it. Daniel Craig is Bond. Whether you like him or hate him, I like him as Bond.
Yeah,
I don't think he's the best Bond, but I like him as Bond, though, and I believed him in this movie, but it was just, we'll see. Hopefully, the next one, whatever it's going to be, is going to be better.
Yeah, I might have some things to say about it later as well. What's number 3?
Oh, this one.
Love the intro.
Okay, so this one, the trailer sold me. I was like, ooh, is this going to be a good reboot of a franchise? I was like, ooh. From Marvel, 20th Century Fox, Fantastic Four. The first 2 acts I thought were really, it was great. I actually enjoyed the beginning of the movie, before they got their powers.
Yeah.
I didn't really buy the chemistry between all the characters, though. Who plays Mr. Fantastic in this movie? I can't even tell her.
Miles Teller.
Miles Teller.
I
don't know where I was going with that. But yeah, he did, for what it's worth, he did a decent job. Michael B. Jordan, I liked him. He tried to do comedy, try to relieve the tension in the movie, but I didn't buy it. Kate Mara, I thought she was going to be great. How she got her powers was very, what in the world? Third act and the final act, all this... I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with this Fantastic Four stuff. Not just a box office failure, but just as fans... just a huge letdown. I don't know what else to say. It's just a piece of garbage. Okay, so number 2, I didn't have hopes for this movie, but it looked enjoyable. Hugh Jackman. He's in it. The villain.
Pan?
Number 2 was Pan. Now, this one was disappointing and horrible at the same time for me. I was a big fan of Hook, and
Garrett Hedlund.
Yeah. But it's just... The dialogue was horrible in this movie. The action was questionable. Hugh Jackman, I thought he did decent, but overall the execution, the dialogue, the visuals were okay, but just overall this movie it was horrible. I was hoping it would be a good uplift for a new trilogy or a new franchise or even, but it was just. No, I don't see if they're even going to make another one after this.
Number 3 is Spectre, similar to your list. Again, coming off Skyfall, I had such high hopes. Casino Royale was great.
Yep.
Quantum of Solace was not his fault. It wasn't a good movie. But then they rebounded with Skyfall, one of the top 5 Bonds of all time. Yep. You could argue higher or lower, but it's still very, very good. And Spectre, it's not bad. It's not a bad movie, but coming off Skyfall, you build this emotional bond, you build all this, and then... it was just weird. This was basically like a Roger Moore style Bond, but made in modern day. And that's not, like I said, this could have been a fun Bond. It doesn't tonally fit everything they've been building to. It doesn't fit the Bond that Daniel Craig is. He's still stern Daniel Craig, and this is kind of a goofy throwback Bond movie. Even like Monica Bellucci is completely wasted in the movie. In the first 5 minutes, Mr. Hanks, Batista's character, it's here's the classic henchman. He was in there for 3 scenes, and he does his part. The girl, she's fine. She was solid. Her name's escaping me right now.
Yeah, she was good. Protocol.
Yeah. I mean, she was good. Daniel Craig's still good. Christoph Waltz is good, but the reveal was weak. The build-up behind the reveal was weak. This is very similar to almost like the Khan in Into Darkness, which I actually like. Yeah. But it was kind of that. It was like, what are you hiding? Anyone who knows how to use Google is going to know who that is. It's not a spoiler. It's who was Inspector in the original Bond. It was fun. Yeah, it was still fun, like but just disappointing. This is disappointing. This is not a bad movie. It's disappointing. Number 2 is Spy. Now, Spy was actually really, really well received by critics. It's like 94 on Rotten Tomatoes. It was a very well received movie for the most part. Except by this guy. No, I hated this movie. Maybe it's a personal thing. I don't find Melissa McCarthy's humor funny in much the same way cover your ears. I didn't find Chris Farley funny, really, for the most part, back in the day. It's slapstick, humor mixed in with vulgarity, and I mean, it can work in points, but it doesn't work with me for her. Yeah. I don't think I laughed once through this entire movie, and when this is an action comedy, you should be laughing, especially because the action is so... It's well filmed. Paul Feig does a good job filming it and directing it, but it's just... I'm sorry, I can't believe her as an action star. I'm not saying you have to be one look, body type, anything. I'm not saying that, but she's just not believable. She doesn't look good performing the stunts. They look fake. The Jason Statham pops in and does some crazy Jason Statham-y stuff. And, I mean, granted, but that didn't hit with me either. I don't know. I just did not enjoy this movie at all. If you've seen Kingsman, you don't need to see this. Unless if you like Melissa McCarthy, you will, and you like her shtick, you'll probably enjoy this. I don't. It's a personal thing. Whatever. It's a personal list. Number 1. All right. We might share this. I don't know if you got... Maybe not.
I don't know. So, number 1, going into this movie, I was a huge fan...
Oh. No, we don't share this. If you are, then you're going to scoot over a few steps.
All right, so this movie, number 1 for me is Chappie. Oh. Neil Blomkamp, District 9. Yeah. Oh. That was my favorite movie of his. Yeah. Now,
that's a top 25 all time for me.
Yeah, now, Elysium... Say what you want to say. A lot of people disliked it. I liked it. Yeah. I thought it was a really good movie. I liked it. It wasn't great, but it was good. Yeah. But this movie, looking at the trailers, there are some parts I was like, ooh, but it was the visuals, the look of Chappie, the interaction between Chappie and the actors. That's what sold me.
Dev Patel, the main guy.
Yeah, he was. I was excited for him. He was underused in that movie. Yeah. I actually met one of the actors at the Walker Stalker Con. Jose, God, I can't even think his name, but he played America in the movie. Diane Wood. Those two were annoying to me. Some of their music I actually do enjoy, but their characters in this movie were just crap. Yeah. Hugh Jackman, first off, his mullet, I hated it. His short shorts, hated it. It was just, he looked like he was a promising villain, and it was just, what is this? Sigourney Weaver. Yeah. She underused in this movie as well. She's barely in this movie. What you see her in the trailer, pretty much what you get in the movie. But overall, it was just crap. The visuals, I give it to them. It was great, but the acting, the story was just, especially the ending. If you want to go by story, the ending, huge. Like, what the hell was that? Like, I didn't see that one coming, but it was like, really? That's your ending? Right. Like, I hated it. So
that's too bad. I'll eventually Netflix and regret it. Yeah. That's the opposite of Netflix and chill, I guess, for you young kids. All right, so number 1 for me is, I don't know if you got dragged to see this, and sorry, this is just bad. One of the worst written movies I've ever seen, which is sad because it's a best-selling book, is 50 Shades of Grey. Now, I love my wife, so I took her to see this on Valentine's Day, on opening night, like a good husband does, and... instant regret. It's just awful. I mean, I didn't have high expectations for this either. I came in with low expectations, and it sunk even lower. I don't know if I can blame Jamie Dornan and Dakota Johnson, because maybe that's just the direction they were given. From everything I've heard, it's actually pretty accurate to the book, and the book is just that poorly written. The dialogue is terrible. The pacing is terrible. The acting is bad. If you could watch it and think it's funny, you'll probably enjoy it. Like, it's a bad movie. The way that it ends, there were women who wanted to see that movie in our theater, who stood up right after it was over and said, "You have to be bleeping kidding me." I guess you can consider it a cliffhanger, and I guess the book ends that same way, but it's just bad. You didn't see it, did you?
No, I'm happy to see it and not see it.
There's nothing good I could say about it. I didn't fall asleep, I guess, because there were points that was so bad that I laughed. Anyway, do you have any honorable mentions? Anything that just disappointed you not as much as these, but
I do have some honorable mentions.
Dishonorable mentions. Dishonorable mentions.
The Hunger Games. That came out. I saw it and just. I came into this movie going, okay, I'm not a fan of these movies. They're enjoyable. I think Catching Fire is my favorite movie. Haven't read the books. I know a lot of people are telling me, read the books, but I'm going in the movies just to see how it is. And this movie, Hunger Games Part 1, say what you want to say, but I enjoyed it. I don't think it was the best one, but it was a good setup for the finale. I thought this finale, the trailers was like,
it's gonna be epic and build up,
snow and everything. Yeah. I was like, okay, and I'm watching it. And I'm like, what? Okay, so that's the big ending. This huge hype, them two, and then that happens. I'm not gonna spoil it, but I'm like, that was a weak ending for me, or a weak ending to that villain and the Miss Everdeen. In the trailers, they had those traps throughout the city. I thought they showed they were going to show
all of them. Basically.
Yeah, basically in the trailer, that's all the traps. There was nothing more. And
one or two maybe, but that was all the big ones, all the impactful ones.
Jennifer Lawrence, I don't care for her in these movies. I see what she's doing, but I just. I don't know about you if you saw it or
I did see it. And a movie like that, when you're following a character, you're following Katniss, and she's an emotionally unavailable girl from the start, and somehow she becomes more emotionally unavailable each movie, kind of. I mean, she has that relationship and all that, but it just, I don't know, it just felt so hollow and flat. I completely agree with you. I mean, the last two movies, Lauren spent most of them crying, and she's a great actress. She's much better than that. According to people I've talked to who have read the book, this is how the book goes, and apparently this is the worst book. The ending hits you pretty abruptly, and you're like, that's it?
Yeah.
That's how it ends? Like, that's what I spent 6 hours watching 3 other movies for, and that's how it ends. Let's build up all this build-up, kind of like Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows Part 1. You're like, okay, build-up, but there's a payoff. This is all build-up, but not good build-up in the first movie, and then a weak payoff. Yeah, I completely agree.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, supposedly it's true to the books, but I mean, I don't. For
not
me,
all books are good.
Yeah.
Anything else, or is that?
That was my list. Do you have any?
Again, this is not a bad movie. I'm more nitpicking, and this is more because to me it's overhyped, and that's the thing. And that would be Avengers: Age of Ultron. Now, this is a fun movie. Not flat. There was a lot of stuff missing. You did spend a lot more time on Hawkeye, which I actually liked. In this one around, but. The twins feel kind of wasted. I know they'll have a bigger part to play later on down the line, but they're wasted.
One will, not they.
One will.
Spoiler.
Sorry. One spoiler, yeah. I mean, way to use, or not use Quicksilver. Thor's barely in the movie. Ultron, this isn't the Ultron from, it is, but it isn't the Ultron from the comics because they changed up that timeline with the Tony Stark stuff. This should have been Hank Pym's Ultron. It's Tony Stark's, whatever. That's fine. You change things. You don't need every villain to survive multiple movies, but it does raise the stakes when you have a villain do more than just hang out for an hour, do some bad stuff, and then get killed. They set the bar high with Loki, and they did. I mean, following both Thor movies, regardless of how much you like them, I think they're both fun. And then you have him in Avengers, so you build this history with this villain to make you care about him. You like him as much as you hate him. And Ultron, he basically gets downloaded, and within 5 minutes, he's evil.
I was disappointed because the trailers made it seem so dark.
Oh,
and I was like, oh, this is going to be a good
He's
villain.
funny. He's funny.
He's funny in this movie. Going into it, I thought it was going to be a darker movie, and how the Avengers going to come out of this. And a lot of people are criticizing the movie and how it is, but for me, it was kind of like the first one. They fight drones.
And it was fine. Again, this was not a bad movie. I just, considering the hype, how much
hype.
Yeah, so much hype coming out of the first Avengers, which some people consider the best superhero movie of all time. The box office records people thought this was going to be the record holder, not even necessarily Star Wars. It's fun. It definitely isn't as good as the first Avengers movie. And maybe not even, I don't think it's as good as a lot of the other Marvel Cinematic Universe movies to me. This is behind Winter Soldier and Guardians and maybe even Iron Man. I think that's about it. Do you have anything else you want to mention?
No, I think that completes our movies.
I would say avoid these. Not necessarily avoid these at all costs. Just temper your expectations. Some of these are bad. We mentioned some that are just bad movies. Some of them weren't so bad. Just lower your expectations a little bit. You might enjoy them more. Just our opinion. You have your own. Hopefully you found some enjoyment in these and everything else. Feel free to let us know, like, comment, share, whatever. If you disagree, think maybe you love the Chipmunks or the Road Chip and you think it doesn't deserve to be there, but hey, just let us know. And I think that's about it. Got anything else?
Yeah. Go ahead and like and comment below.
All right. Thanks, guys.